Commander Jiho walked through the empty corridor of the Sigma station. His footsteps made soft sounds on the metal floor. He was nervous, very nervous. In just a few minutes, he would enter the chamber where the 5 most powerful civilizations in the galaxy waited. They had called for this meeting, and nobody ever knew what the Galactic Council wanted. Usually, it was not good news. Behind Jiho walked Dr. Minseo. She was one of Earth's best scientists and thinkers. She carried a small device that recorded everything they saw and heard. The Council did not like recordings, but Earth wanted to know exactly what was said. Minseo looked calm on the outside, but Jiho could see the worry in her eyes. The station around them was amazing. Sigma Station floated in empty space between the 5 largest galactic powers. It was neutral ground. The architecture was strange to human eyes. Some walls seemed to be made of crystal that glowed with soft light. Other walls looked like they were made of something that moved slowly like water, but stayed solid when you touched it. Alien technology. Technology that humans were still learning to understand. Jiho and Minseo had been traveling for 3 weeks to reach this station. Earth's government had told them to go and listen to what the Council wanted. Nobody expected this to be anything serious. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only been traveling in space for 50 years. Compared to the ancient civilizations that made up the Galactic Council, humans were like children. They reached the chamber doors. The doors were tall, perhaps 4 meters high. They were made of dark metal with symbols written in languages Jiho did not recognize. The doors slid open silently. Inside, the chamber was enormous. The ceiling seemed to stretch forever upward. At the center of the room stood 5 large chairs. In each chair sat a representative of one of the 5 galactic powers. The first chair held Commander Tail of the Valorian Empire. Tail was not human. His skin looked like crystal, and it shone with many colors. His eyes had no pupils, just solid black orbs that seemed to see everything. The Valorian Empire controlled 40% of all known space. They were the strongest military power in the galaxy. To the right sat Ambassador Haiwan of the Zephyr Collective. Haiwan's people did not look human either. They had long, thin bodies and skin that seemed to change color slowly, like the sky at sunset. The Zephyr Collective was not as strong as the Valorian Empire, but they were clever. They controlled the biggest trade networks. If you wanted to buy or sell anything in the galaxy, you needed to work with the Zephyr. The other 3 representatives were from lesser powers. They were important, but not as important as Tile and Haiwan. Everyone knew this. Everyone accepted it. Jiho and Minseo walked to the center of the chamber. They stood below the 5 chairs. It felt like standing at the bottom of a well looking up at the sky. Tile spoke first. His voice sounded like crystal breaking, but not in a bad way. It was actually beautiful, even though it made Jiho uncomfortable. "Humans," Tail said, "we have brought you here to discuss your future." "You have been expanding," Haiwan added. Her voice was smooth and soft, like wind through trees. "You have been taking colonies. You have been building military ships. You have been moving faster than any new species should move." Jiho felt sweat on his forehead. He had known this was about expansion, but hearing it from the Council made it sound dangerous. "For 10,000 years, Tail continued, we have kept peace in this galaxy. We do this through order, through rules, through control. Your kind does not understand control. You are chaotic. You are unpredictable. This is a problem." Minseo stepped forward slightly. "With respect," she said carefully, "humans have done nothing wrong. We explore. We grow. Is this not what every species does?" Haiwan's skin flashed bright orange. This was not good. Orange meant anger in the Zephyr language. "You expand too fast," she said. "You take resources that others need. You build weapons without permission. You speak about independence and freedom. These are words that create problems." The other three representatives said nothing. They never said much. They agreed with whatever Tail and Haywan wanted. "This is why we have called you here," Tail said, and his voice became very serious. "Humanity must make a choice. You must decide your future in the next 72 hours. Jiho's heart began to beat faster. 72 hours. That was only 3 days. "Option 1, Tail said. "You will dismantle all military forces. All warships will be destroyed or given to Council control. You will close all military bases. You will stop all weapons research. You will accept governance from the Council. Council representatives will live on Earth and oversee your actions." "Option 2, Haiwan said, her voice cold. "You will refuse, and we will destroy every human ship, every human colony, and every human settlement. We will make sure Earth remembers what happens to species that do not listen to the Galactic Council." Min-Seo felt her legs go weak. Destroy humanity? Completely? "You have 72 hours, Tail said. He waved his hand, and somehow Jiho knew the meeting was over. "You will send your answer through the communication system. If we do not hear acceptance in exactly 72 hours, we will consider that refusal, and we will act." Jiho and Min-Seo turned and walked toward the doors. Their minds were spinning. Everything was happening so fast. One moment they had been walking through the corridor with hope that this was just a routine meeting. The next moment, the entire future of humanity was being decided. As they walked back through the empty corridors of Sigma Station, neither of them spoke. What was there to say? They had been given the choice of slavery or death. The Galactic Council had made this decision. The Council never changed its mind. Everyone knew this. But then Jiho stopped walking. He turned to look at Min-Seo. His face was calm, but his eyes were alive with something. Anger, maybe, or hope. Min-Seo could not tell which. "Tell Earth," Jiho said quietly. "Tell them we are not doing this." Min-Seo's eyes opened wide. "What?" "Tell them," Jiho repeated, "we are not surrendering. We are not accepting governance. We are not accepting death either. Tell them to prepare. Tell them we are going to do something different. Something the Council does not expect." Min-Seo wanted to ask what that meant, but something in Jiho's voice told her not to question him. She nodded once, and together they continued walking toward the communication room. The Galactic Council sat in their chamber and waited for humanity's answer. They had seen this moment many times before. Many species had received the same choice. All of them had chosen to surrender. It was the rational choice. It was the only choice. But the Council did not know humans yet. They did not know that humans could be irrational. They did not know that sometimes the impossible was exactly what humans chose to attempt. The Council had made a mistake. They had underestimated the human spirit, and in 72 hours, they would begin to realize this mistake. The bunker beneath Seoul was dark and cold. General Sang-woo sat in his chair and listened to Dr. Min-Seo's message. The audio played through the speaker system. Every word made the room feel smaller and colder. "We are not surrendering," Min-Seo's voice said. "We are not accepting governance. Commander Jiho says to prepare. He says to activate the contingency." The room exploded with noise. Soldiers jumped from their seats. Officers started shouting questions. Papers flew across tables. Everyone was talking at once, and nobody was listening. General Sang-woo raised his hand. The room became quiet immediately. When Sang-woo wanted silence, he got it. "Activate all communication systems," he said calmly. "Contact every human colony. Contact every research station. Contact every military installation. Send them one message. The contingency is now active. I repeat, the contingency is now active. This is not a drill." Colonel Park, Sang-woo's second-in-command, leaned forward. "Sir, are you certain? Activating the contingency means we are committing to war. There is no going back from this." Sang-woo looked at Park for a long moment. His face was very serious. The Council has already committed to our destruction. We can accept their terms and survive as slaves, or we can refuse and fight for our freedom. These are the only choices. I choose to fight. Park nodded. He understood. He had known this day might come. Every soldier in the bunker had known. But knowing something and living through it were two different things. Send the message, Sang-woo said. Within minutes, the message was spreading across human space. Every colony heard the words. Every ship heard the words. Every person who could listen heard the words. The contingency was the secret that human military leaders had prepared for 3 years. Almost nobody knew about it. Almost nobody knew what it meant. But now, everyone would find out. In the lower levels of the bunker, Dr. Nari sat in her laboratory, surrounded by screens. Information flowed across every screen in streams of numbers and letters that most people could not understand. But Nari understood. She understood everything about computers and technology. When she heard the message, she smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. The time has come, she said to her team of scientists and engineers. Begin activation sequence Delta. We have less than 70 hours to complete Phase 1. Nari's team had spent 3 years building something that the Galactic Council did not know existed. They had been very careful. They had hidden their work behind ordinary-looking projects. They had used small computers and kept everything quiet. The Council had no idea what was being built in the basements and hidden laboratories of Earth. What they had built was not what most people would expect. Nari and her team had not been building bigger weapons. They had not been building stronger ships. Instead, they had been building artificial intelligence systems, smart computers that could think and learn and make decisions without human help. The Galactic Council had forbidden AI systems for 10,000 years. They said that AI systems were too dangerous. They said that only the Council could control advanced technology, but Nari and her team had built them anyway. Upload the first network, Nari commanded. Send it to all human military ships that are currently in position. Around Earth, in orbit high above the planet, military ships received new computer systems. These systems were not like normal computers. They could learn from experience. They could adapt to new situations. They could make decisions based on what they learned. They were revolutionary. But there was a problem. The Galactic Council had technology that was thousands of years more advanced than human technology. How could humans possibly defeat them? This was the question that everyone was asking. This was the reason that many officers in the bunker thought General Sang-woo was making a mistake. But Sang-woo knew something that most people did not know. He knew that advanced technology was not the only important thing in war. Strategy was important. Creativity was important. Speed was important. The Council's technology was very advanced, but the Council was also very old. They had done things the same way for 10,000 years. They did not adapt. They did not change. They did not think in new ways. Humans were young. Humans were creative. Humans could think in ways that the Council could never imagine, and that might be enough. How long? Sang-woo asked Dr. Nari when she came into his office. 36 hours, she said. The first wave of AI systems will be operational, not perfect, but ready. After that, we will have more time to improve them. Sang-woo nodded. They had 72 hours before the Council expected an answer. This meant they had 36 hours to prepare and 36 hours of mystery. That was good. Mystery was a weapon too. After you activate the systems, I want you to do something else, Sang-woo said. I want you to prepare something special. A gift for the Zephyr Collective and the Valorian Empire. Nari looked confused. A gift? Yes, Sang-woo said. The same technology we are using. I want you to prepare the basic designs of our AI systems to be sent to other species. I want them to understand that humans are not alone in wanting freedom from the Council. I want them to have the tools to defend themselves. Nari's eyes opened wide. You want to give them our technology? Our greatest secret? Yes, Sang-Woo said. Because if we are going to survive, we cannot do it alone. The only way we can win is if the entire galaxy understands that the Council cannot control them. If everyone has the power to defend themselves, the Council cannot threaten anyone. Nari left the office and returned to her laboratory. She began preparing the files. It would take time to make the technology simple enough for other species to use. But she had time. She had 36 hours. Across Earth, in cities and towns and small villages, people heard the news. The Galactic Council had demanded surrender. Humans had refused. War was coming. Fear filled many hearts, but courage filled others. In Seoul, in Tokyo, in New York, in London, in every human city, soldiers and scientists and ordinary people went to work. They worked on weapons. They worked on ships. They worked on communications. They worked on anything that might help humanity survive what was coming. Nobody knew if it would be enough. Nobody knew if humans could actually defeat the Galactic Council, but they were going to try. And sometimes, trying is all you can do. Sometimes, trying is enough to change everything. General Sang-Woo stood in his office and looked at a map of the galaxy on his wall. Thousands of stars, millions of worlds. The Galactic Council controlled most of it. Humans controlled almost none of it. Activate the contingency, he said again, speaking to himself this time. Let them see what it means when humans refuse to surrender. The countdown had begun. 72 hours until the Council received its answer. And in those 72 hours, everything would change. Not because humans had better weapons, but because humans understood something that the Council had forgotten. Sometimes the smallest species can defeat the greatest powers. Sometimes hope is stronger than force. Sometimes humans are capable of the impossible. The Galactic Council sat in their chamber and waited. They had given humans 72 hours to answer. They were confident. They were always confident. In all of their 10,000 years, the Council had never been refused. Species understood that resistance was impossible. Species accepted their fate. 68 hours had passed since the ultimatum was delivered. In just 4 hours, the Council expected to hear humanity's surrender. Tail was already preparing the announcement. They would send military governors to Earth. They would take command of all human territories. They would integrate humans into the greater galactic society. It was the way things had always been done. But then something strange happened. One of the Council's officers rushed into the chamber. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. This was unusual. Officers of the Galactic Council never showed emotion. "Sir," the officer said to Tail, "we have detected movement, unusual movement in 17 human-controlled systems." Tail's crystalline features did not change. "Explain." "The human ships are moving," the officer said, "but not in ways that make sense. They are not retreating. They are not attacking. They are moving in patterns that do not follow any known military strategy." Ambassador Hae-won stood from her chair. Her skin flashed orange with concern. "Show us." The officer pulled up a display. It showed a three-dimensional map of space with hundreds of small objects representing ships. The ships were moving in intricate patterns. Some were moving toward the center of their territory. Some were moving toward the edges. Some were moving in circles. Some were moving forward, then backward, then forward again. "What is the purpose of these movements?" one of the other representatives asked. "We do not know," the officer admitted. "Every movement seems random. But when we analyze them, they seem to be creating some kind of network. The ships are spreading out to form connected positions." Tail watched the display for a long time. His black eyes did not blink. "Increase surveillance. I want to know the location of every human ship. I want to know what they are doing." In space near Earth, Commander Ji-ho stood on the bridge of the biggest human warship, the Soul. Around him, officers were working quickly, making calculations and sending commands. The ship was moving according to a plan that only a few people understood. Dr. Min Seo was in another room, giving orders to military commanders across human space. Each commander knew where to move their ships. Each commander knew what formation to create. But none of them knew the complete plan. Only Jiho and Min Seo knew the whole picture. This was on purpose. If one human commander was captured by the Council, they could not reveal the complete strategy. "Phase 2 is complete," one officer reported. "All human ships are now in position." Jiho nodded. They had moved quickly. They had moved quietly, and they had done something that the Galactic Council did not expect. They had not gathered their ships into one large fleet to make a stand. Instead, they had spread them out. They had created multiple small independent groups. Each group was weak by itself, but together they formed a network that was very strong. "Activate the AI network," Jiho commanded. In the bunker beneath Seoul, Dr. Nari pressed a button. On screens across Earth and across human space, the AI systems came alive. They were connected to each other through special communication channels that the Council could not easily access. The systems were not as powerful as Council technology, but they were fast. They could learn. They could adapt. They could think in ways that made no sense to the ancient Council. The Council's sensors detected something new. Some kind of communication was passing between human ships. Some kind of network was forming. The Council could not decode the messages. They could not understand the network. This was very unusual. "They are preparing for war," Haiwan said. Her voice was cold and certain. But Tail was not certain. He was confused. War against the Galactic Council was suicide. No species had ever defeated the Council. No species would ever defeat the Council. So why were humans preparing to fight? "Send them a message," Tail said. "Tell them that if they do not surrender within 3 hours, we will begin destroying their colonies immediately. We will not wait for the 72 hours to pass. If they want war, we will give them war." The message was sent. It was a simple message. Surrender or die. 3 hours. No choices. Across human space, the message was received. In every ship, in every colony, in every station, humans read the words. 3 hours. The Council was impatient. The Council was angry. The Council was afraid. Because the Council did not understand what humans were doing, and fear made the Council act quickly. But humans were not afraid. Humans were ready. "Move to attack positions," Jiho commanded. The human ships did not move all at once. They moved slowly, carefully, in ways that seemed almost accidental. But each movement brought them closer to the positions they needed to occupy. Each movement created a stronger network. Each movement made the AI systems more connected and more powerful. In 17 different star systems, the same thing was happening. Human ships were moving into new positions. Human colonies were being defended. Human technology was being prepared. And through it all, the AI network was growing stronger and faster, learning from every action and preparing for the next one. The Galactic Council watched the movements and tried to understand them. They sent messages demanding more information. They moved their own ships into position. They prepared their weapons. They did all of the things that they had done for 10,000 years when a species did not obey. But the Council had never faced humans before. The Council had never dealt with a species that refused to accept the old rules. The Council had never fought an enemy that thought in completely different ways. 2 hours remained before the deadline. Then 1 hour, then 30 minutes. And then the Council did something that changed everything. They attacked. Not at Earth, not at the major human colonies. They attacked at one of the smaller human research stations, a station with only 500 people, a station that seemed unimportant. But this station was important for a different reason. It was the testing ground where Dr. Nari had prepared her AI systems. It was where the network began. When the Council attacked, the AI network responded instantly. The response was not a military attack. Instead, the AI systems did something completely unexpected. They took control of the Council's weapons. They redirected the energy from their own fire. They used the Council's own power against them. The Council's attack ships were damaged. Their weapons stopped working. Their shields failed. They retreated. And suddenly humans understood what was possible. They were not helpless children facing ancient masters. They were something new. Something different. Something that the Council could not control with old weapons and old strategies. The 72-hour deadline had arrived, but humanity did not send a message of surrender. Humanity had already given its answer through action. Humanity had walked away. Commander Jiho's voice was calm when he sent the broadcast across the galaxy. His message went everywhere. It went to Council space. It went to independent territories. It went to merchant ships and exploration vessels. Everywhere in the galaxy, creatures of all kinds heard his words. "I am Commander Jiho of Earth," he began. "The Galactic Council has demanded that we surrender our freedom. They have demanded that we accept their rule. They have demanded that we become slaves to their ancient system. Humanity refuses. Humanity walks away from this demand. And we invite all other species to walk away as well." The message continued. Jiho explained what had happened. He explained how the Council had attacked a human research station. He explained how human technology had defended itself. He explained how the Council's weapons had failed. But most importantly, he explained something that no one had heard in 10,000 years. "The Council is not all-powerful," Jiho said. "The Council is old. The Council does not change. The Council does not adapt. We are young. We are creative. We can build things that the Council cannot imagine. And more importantly, we are not the only species that wants freedom. We are offering something that the Council has never offered. We are offering choice." In the Outer Rim Coalition territories, beings of 100 different species listened to this message. They had lived under Galactic Council control for thousands of years. They had always accepted it. It was the way things were. But now, someone was saying something different. Someone was saying that change was possible. Captain Kyun Woo was the leader of the Andromedan Free Merchants. His people were traders and explorers. They sold goods across the galaxy. The Council controlled their prices. The Council controlled their routes. The Council controlled everything. Kyun Woo listened to Jiho's message, and for the first time in his long life, he felt hope. He gathered his people. "The humans have refused the Council," he told them. "The humans have shown that resistance is possible. For the first time in my lifetime, I see a chance for real freedom. Who will stand with me and support the humans?" Most of his people agreed. Some were scared, but most wanted to try. The Andromedan Free Merchants sent out a broadcast of their own. They declared their support for humanity. More importantly, they cut off their trade with the Galactic Council. Ships that usually carried supplies to Council territories stopped moving. Markets that usually received goods from the Council closed. The Zephyr Collective's trade networks, which were controlled by the Council, began to fail. This was only the beginning. Around the galaxy, other species saw what was happening. The Outer Rim Coalition, which had always been weak and divided, suddenly came together. Species that had never cooperated before realized that together they might be strong enough to challenge the Council. "Send this to all independent species," Dr. Minseo commanded. She was at a communications station, sending a new kind of message across the galaxy. Send them the designs for basic AI defense systems. Send them the technology to defend themselves. Back in the Council chamber, Tail and Haiwan watched the situation grow worse. Reports came in every few minutes. Another species had cut off trade. Another group was declaring independence. Another region was refusing to accept Council authority. The situation was spiraling out of the Council's control. "We must act," Haiwan said, and her skin flashed bright orange with anger. We must show these species what happens when they refuse us. We must attack Earth. We must destroy the humans completely." But Tail was silent. He was thinking. He was analyzing the situation in the way that only the leader of the Galactic Council could do. And what he saw was a problem that could not be solved by force. "If we attack Earth now," Tail said slowly, "we will kill the humans. But we will also confirm to every other species in the galaxy that the Council uses force to control them. We will prove that the Council is a tyranny. And when we prove that, every species will turn against us. The Council will fall." "Then what do we do?" HFY asked. And for the first time, there was fear in her voice. Tail did not answer immediately. He continued to think. Around the chamber, the other three representatives sat quietly. They always waited for Tail to speak first. Finally, Tail said, "We must understand something. Humanity has changed the rules of the game. For 10,000 years, every species in the galaxy has accepted the Council's authority because they had no choice. The Council was too powerful. The Council's technology was too advanced. Resistance seemed impossible. But humanity has shown that it is possible. They have shown that old power can be challenged by new thinking. They have shown that the rules can be changed. So we surrender?" HFY asked, and there was bitterness in her voice. "No," Tail said. "But we must be realistic. We cannot win a galaxy-wide war against multiple species that are learning to defend themselves. We can still destroy Earth. We can still destroy many other worlds, but we will destroy ourselves in doing so. The Council will not survive such a war." In his office on Earth, General Sang-Woo received reports from around the galaxy. The Andromedan free merchants were sending ships to join the human defensive network. 3 other major civilizations were declaring independence from the Council. The merchant guilds were refusing to supply Council military forces. Trade across Council space was breaking down. "We are winning," Colonel Park said, and there was joy in his voice. But Sang-Woo was serious. "We have not won," he said. "The Council could still destroy us. We are winning politically and strategically, but we are still weak militarily. They could end us if they chose to. We need to prepare for that possibility. We need to be ready for a final war." Dr. Nari came to Sang-Woo's office with new information. "The AI network is growing stronger," she said, "but there is something more important. Many other species are asking for copies of our technology. They want to build their own defense networks. The Andromedan free merchants have asked for detailed plans. The Outer Rim Coalition wants complete designs." Sang-Woo smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for. "Give them everything," he said. "Make it simple. Make it easy to use. Every species that builds their own AI defense network is another species that can resist Council control." As the weeks passed, the situation continued to change. Across the galaxy, species that had lived under Council control for thousands of years began to break free. Not all of them joined with humanity. Some formed their own independent federations. Some tried to negotiate new terms with the Council. But all of them were now free to make their own choices. And that was the real victory. The Galactic Council still existed. The Council's military was still powerful. But the Council's absolute authority had ended. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Council had to negotiate. The Council had to listen to other voices. The Council had to accept that the galaxy had changed. And it all began because one species had refused to surrender. One species had said no. One species had walked away instead of accepting slavery. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy, but humanity had changed it forever. 6 days had passed since the Council's deadline. 6 days since humans had refused to surrender. 6 days since the galaxy had begun to change. The tension was enormous. Everyone in known space was waiting to see what the Galactic Council would do next. In the council chamber, Tail sat in his chair and looked at the reports in front of him. They were all bad. The Valorian Empire's military budget was being squeezed. Supply lines were being cut off. Ships that should be fighting were instead trying to protect trading routes and merchant vessels. The council's system was breaking down. Commander Tail had a choice to make. He could order a complete military campaign against all the independent species. The council had the power to do this. The council could destroy entire civilizations. But Tail was not sure this would solve the problem. Even if the council destroyed everyone who opposed them, the damage to the council's power structure would be irreversible. The fear that had kept the council in control for 10,000 years would be replaced by hatred, and hatred was a stronger force than fear. Heywan came to see him. "We must make a decision," she said. "Our people are asking questions. Our allies are demanding action. How much longer can we wait?" "We are not waiting," Tail said. "We are thinking. This is different from what we have done before. In the past, we have always had clear solutions. Species would not obey. We would punish them. They would obey. It was simple. But this is not simple. The humans have created a new situation that we do not have an old answer for." "So what do we do?" Heywan asked. Tail stood and walked to the window. Through the crystal walls of the station, he could see the vast emptiness of space. Somewhere out there in that darkness, humans were working. Aliens were building. Species that had been slaves for 10,000 years were becoming free. "We must change," Tail said, "or we must accept our end." Across the galaxy, in a hidden location, Dr. Minseo was planning with leaders from 7 different species. They sat around a table looking at maps and reports and strategic information. Each species had joined the effort to create an independent alliance. "The council will move soon," one of the leaders said. Her name was Zir, and she was from the Crystal Worlds. "They cannot wait much longer. They must either attack or negotiate." "We are not strong enough for a galaxy-wide war," another leader said. He was from the Merchant Coalition. "If the council decides to destroy us all, they can. Our defenses are new. Our technology is new. The council's technology has 10,000 years of refinement." Dr. Minseo listened carefully. She understood the fear. She felt it too. But she also knew something important. "The council's technology is old," she said slowly. "It is powerful. But it is old. Our technology is new. Our systems can learn and adapt. The council's systems follow rules that have not changed in 10,000 years. In a traditional military conflict, the council would win. But this will not be a traditional conflict. We will use strategy. We will use surprise. We will use creativity. These are things that the council cannot match." "Can you guarantee this?" Zir asked. "No," Minseo said honestly. "I cannot guarantee anything, but I can tell you that humanity has already defeated the council once. We have shown that it is possible. And now we have shown that other species can join us. Together, we have a chance." On Earth, General Sang-Woo was preparing his military for the worst. He knew that the council might attack. They might attack with everything they had. They might decide that destroying humanity was worth the political cost. He spoke to his commanders through a secure communication network. "The council will make a decision soon," he told them. "If they decide to attack, we must be ready. Our defenses are strong, but they are not unbeatable. We must be prepared to lose battles. We must be prepared to lose ships. We must be prepared to lose people. But we must not be prepared to surrender." Colonel Park listened to these words and felt proud. Humans were about to face the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Most species would already be surrendering. Most species would be accepting defeat. But humans were preparing to fight. "How confident are you?" Park asked Sang-Woo. Sang-Woo thought about this question carefully. "I am not confident that we will win," he said, "but I am certain that we will not surrender. That is enough." Back in the council chamber, the decision was finally made. Tail called a full meeting of all the council members and all their most important military leaders. The decision would be announced to the galaxy within hours. Tail stood before them and spoke. "The Galactic Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, he said. His voice was loud and clear. We have maintained peace through authority. We have maintained order through power. This has been good. This has been right. But the galaxy is changing. Humanity and other species have shown that they do not accept our rule. They have shown that they can build their own power. We have two choices. We can destroy them. We can return the galaxy to the way it was before, or we can accept that the galaxy must change. We can accept that species have the right to choose their own future." The chamber was silent. No one had expected the leader of the Galactic Council to talk about change. "What I am proposing," Tail continued, "is not surrender. It is survival. If we attack now, we will win the battle. But we will lose the war. The galaxy will turn against us. Species will unite against us. We will rule over ruins and ash. But if we negotiate, if we allow species to choose their own future, we will remain powerful. We will lose control. But we will maintain respect. And respect is more valuable than control." Haywan stood up. Her skin was orange, showing her emotion. "You are asking us to surrender everything, to abandon 10,000 years of tradition." "No," Tail said. "I am asking us to survive. The tradition has already changed. The question is whether we change with it or whether we break." It took hours of discussion. It took arguments and disagreements, but eventually the council voted. 17 out of 20 representatives voted for Tail's proposal. The others disagreed, but they would accept the decision. The announcement was sent across the galaxy. The Galactic Council would no longer enforce mandatory governance. Species could choose their own future. The Council would remain, but as an advisory body, not as a military overlord. Council worlds could vote on whether they wanted to remain in the Council or become independent. When the message reached Earth, there was celebration. But it was not the celebration of victory. It was the celebration of survival. Humanity had faced the Galactic Council and refused to surrender. But more importantly, humanity had shown that change was possible. The old order was ending. The new order was beginning. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy had hope.